during this spirit. Many more mountains we're trying to do this.
Well, so far this year we're at back there. I think we're 16 this year. We're probably, it's no we'll do 7 miles now. Just about maxed out because every day we could pay, put a big material or
You guys like that?
brain.
Well,
Private.
I'm Justice Peters, and we will get the Public Health, Welfare, and Safety Committee started. If everyone will stand, and Justice Floyd's going to give the invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Would everybody please bow with me? Dear Heavenly Father, I just want to give you thanks today. I just want to give you thanks for letting us be born in the greatest nation in the world, the greatest state, and the county. I also want to give thanks to the fast response that the Garland County road crew did this morning when the storm blew in. I know there's a lot of trees down, a lot of limbs, a lot of roads that were crowded this morning. And thanks for their fast response. Everybody got to work on time, hopefully. I also want to give you thanks and ask for guidance to be with our leaders throughout the nation. And in Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, it looks like we have a quorum. So the one thing we have to discuss today is the consideration of an ordinance providing for the levy of a 5/8 of 1%, 0.625% sales tax and use tax within Garland County. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Justice Anderson and a second by Justice Young. I'm sure Judge is going to talk to us a little bit about what this is.
Thank you, Justice Peters. So each one of you, I gave you a list of the roads that we paved since we started collecting this funding and the amount of money it has produced. As you'll see, it's producing for every incorporated area in Garland County. It's not just Hot Springs in Garland County. It's Diamond Head, Fountain Lake, Lonsdale, and Mountain Pine that it produces for. This was as of May 30th, this list I gave you. So we're a little bit ahead of this list now. And this started in July 1st of 2022 when the first collections were made. But as you know, we don't receive our tax till a couple months later. So we really didn't start in earnest using the money until September of 2022. Every day that it was possible for us to pave, whether weather or material related, we have paved. We've had a paving contractor that's working only for us. They've not done any private work. They work only for the county, and then the county also has a paving crew as well. We are working to build a long-term road. We're not just going in and putting 2 inches of blacktop on top of a road that's all bumpy and wallowed out. So we're trying to restore the profile of the road where it has a crown in the middle of it with some shimming, where they come in and they basically try to level it up. It's a leveling course and restore that crown and then pave over that. So every place on the road has at least 2 inches of road on it. Last year we started what they call a pavement preservation program. That cost was roughly 40% of what the asphalt cost was. And so this year it will be even less because asphalt has went up and the contractor has told us that we'll hold the rate on the pavement preservation. And basically it's what they call a cape steel, and you can look it up online, but it's a machine that comes into some of the roads that still have a good profile and they're hot mix. They've got a bunch of cracks and stuff in them. The water starts to infiltrate there, and that's where you start to have your problems with deterioration of the road. So as long as the profile is still there and it's not rutted up or got soft spots in it, they come in with this machine that carries a pool of water-based emulsion under it. And it carries it about 3 inches thick, and there are a series of brooms that work that oil down into, or that emulsion down into the cracks of the road. They come back with a 3/8 chip over the top of that, then come back with a vacuum truck and pull off any excess that's on that. After that, they wait about 2 weeks. They come back with a fog seal on top of that, and it's an 1/8 inch minus. The largest piece of gravel in it is an 1/8 inch, and that's what they put over the top surface. It looks just like asphalt when it's finished. I know that we did the first 4 miles of Amity Road, and Justice Floyd noticed it. We've done Glazy Poe Road. We've done several roads with it. Fox Pass was one that we did. And there's a couple of benefits to it. One is it's about 40% of the cost. It can actually put you in a position to do maintenance on your roads. The provider of the emulsion tells us it can be used 4 or 5 times on a road as long as you still have your good profile. And they say that you will buy 8 to 10 years on the life of your road. So that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to build a road that will last 25 to 30 years so that we can put ourselves in a maintenance position rather than a repair position, which is what we've been in for decades. When we pave a road, our road department goes in and digs out any soft spots, replaces the material in there, and we also replace the cross culverts. Anywhere there's a cross culvert that does not meet our spec or is deteriorated at all, we replace it before paving, so we don't have to come back and dig the road up after it gets new hot mix on it. Then once we get all that done, we put the contractor on it, or we do it ourselves to do that shimming or leveling course, restore the profile of the road, and pave it. Last year, the pavement preservation program we did covered about 21 miles. One of the best benefits to it, and we could probably look at accident records and see if it's benefited, is the skid coefficient is much higher than it is on asphalt. It's more abrasive. You can even hear the difference when you're driving on it. When you're driving down Amity Road and you're on the Partway hot mix and you transition through that, you can hear the difference in the tires on your car. So it stops the skid, so to say. And then we've also implemented with that last year, we started doing the RPMs, the reflective pavement markers in the center lines on our feeder roads. We did some on Amity Road, we did Fox Pass, we did West Clazypo. The roads we did the pavement preservation on, we provided those. And I will tell you, when it's raining at night, those center line reflectors make a big difference in being able to see where you're going. They're not that expensive. They're about $5 a piece. We lost some last year during the grading, but I think they're well worth it for the safety factor that it produces for your constituents. This is a testament to what we can do and what we have done. We've also got 3 bridges that are underway right now and 2 that are still going on Mill Creek that will be funded by this. The bridge that we did on Cedar Glaze that was taken out by the flood of 2025, it was funded by this. We put it collapsed on April the 5th, and July the 10th, we put cars back across it. So if we didn't have a fund like this, we would have had to do without something else, some other part of our paving or some equipment, or we would have had to do without something else to be able to get that bridge back that quickly. FHWA, that's a federal aid highway. FHWA told us it could be as many as 5 years before we could get any reimbursement on that. So can you imagine leaving that bridge down for 5 years or having to take money from something else to put it back together? This has been transformational for Garland County. People that come here, the economic development folks that come here that I visit with, brag and brag and brag on our infrastructure that we're starting to see. You can't drive anywhere in Garland County or the city of Hot Springs without being on new asphalt road that's in great shape. I think it increases your property values. And besides, I think it's something that long term will decrease costs going in and making these hot mix roads rather than chip and seal, so you can hold that profile. And then the next round, you use that 40% less cost, or the 40% cost of the pavement preservation. You don't have to change out your culverts. All you do is go in and what they do, clipping the shoulders. Basically, it's cutting the grass away from the edge with a grater so that you're not paving over the top of grass. You run in there and you clip the shoulders. You do the pavement preservation. They can be in and out in 2 weeks on 21 miles. And it holds up remarkable. They've done it for years in Faulkner County and Pulaski County. And I went and looked at some of the roads that were about 5 years old, and they're still holding up very well. So there'll be some that fail, but this is something that's been transformational for not just Garland County, for the other incorporated areas in the county as well. It's places like Diamond Head and Mountain Pine, Lonsdale, Fountain Lake. They don't have a source they get a little bit of turnback money, but as far as trying to do their roads, several of them, Diamond Head, for instance, it has miles and miles of roads in it that are chip and seal roads that were put together in the late 70s, early 80s. So this is something I think that we definitely need to get on the ballot. We're putting it on the general election ballot, which I was asked last time, or told last time, if you guys would put this on a general election ballot, we wouldn't oppose it. So we let the people decide. We've got pages and pages and pages of documentation from what we did. And I'm pretty proud of what we did with it so far. And every penny of it goes into an account earmarked just for this, and it's not used for anything else other than this work right here. And so I'll be glad to answer any questions for anybody that's got any, but that's pretty much it in a nutshell.
Has the Diamond Head complex, the way it's changed with being a city, has that changed either in any way our services to?
It has. If you'll look, you can see that on the funding that we've got, you can see when Diamond Head started getting some of that funding. So it reduced our funding just a little bit, the half-cent tax, as well as the 3/8 and the 5/8, but the 3/8 they turn over to us for detention center operations. But as far as our services, the sheriff was already helping out there all he could. As you know, the police department was disbanded there probably 3 years ago. So the sheriff's office has already been working there. I've met with Mayor Caruth a few times, and he indicates they're going with the marshal form out there. That's what their law enforcement is going to be, as a marshal. And so some things they're going to be able to provide with the security force that they have out there right now. But we still respond. The sheriff's office still responds to everything that they need us to out there. And as far as anything else, it's a city, so they take care of themselves, and they'll likely contract their road work out.
Roads mainly what I was.
Do what, Jimmy?
We were talking about roads, and I was kind of wondering whether there was any change in our accountability or responsibility.
No, not since it's an incorporated area. They are responsible for their own. But like I say, I know that Lonsdale, Fountain Lake, and I believe Mountain Pine, they all contract that work out, so they don't have to have if they're going to do paving or they're going to do a large scale pothole patching, they contract somebody to do that. When we had Pave It Forward money, we had to pay those contractors, so they contract that out. Rather than trying to keep somebody on staff for a small area like that, it's difficult to run a road department with 500 people. It doesn't pay well. So I think most of them just subcontract their work out, and then most of them don't have any really dirt roads to speak of. They're very, very small and paved roads.
Those roads that were through there that were county roads, are they city roads now? And
so, which ones are you talking about? Because the ones like
Diamond Head went from being a
private community
in the county to being their own city.
Right, but there wasn't any county roads in there because it was private.
Private.
It was a POA or an HOA. It was a closed gate. So anything beyond those gates, and that was up to them to maintain it with POA dues.
Private, and we didn't have roads in there, and it's a city now, and they're their own responsibility. We would have to be losing.
But they have to do what?
I mean, there's no roads that we're not going to have to take care of.
No, we won't. Since they're a city, they incorporated all that, and the part that they didn't incorporate, they're going to. I think they're going to have a provision on the ballot in November to annex that piece in, so that they'll all be the city of Diamond Head. Now they receive turnback money from the state now, as well as other things that an incorporated area or a municipality receives. So they do have other sources of funding coming in now that they didn't have. But there won't be any added responsibility for the county, and we'll just continue to be a good neighbor to them like we are to the other incorporated areas.
Thank you.
Hey, Judge Mahoney, I just want to say the people that live off of Joella and Huntington, they are ecstatic about their new road. And it seems like y'all put it in within 2 weeks. It was done. It was so fast. Even with some bad weather came through there. So did you use that new hot mix for that area as well? For
Yes.
that road? Okay.
Yes, those are hot mix. We're not doing anything but hot mix now.
Okay.
Pavement preservation will be over a road that's already hot mixed, but
Okay.
it may be 10, 15 years old. It would make no sense to do the pavement preservation over a chip and seal road because most of those, the profile is gone or they didn't have a good base under it to begin with. So we're just going to try to pinpoint roads. Like this year, I went out and looked at some roads that would probably get pavement preservation that are starting to crack out, but they've still got a good profile. And like Old Dallas Road is one of those, North Piercy Road. They've been paved in the last 15 years, but they're starting to crack out. And so what we want to do is catch those before they start having problems with the base and seal them back up where that water intrusion doesn't happen. If you remember this year during that freezing ice and winter storm we had several of them that the water intruded and they just blew up. Old Bear Road was one of them. And we had to hire an outside contractor to help us because we got so far behind. But the two worst in the county were Little Blakely Creek Road and Old Bear Road. And we hired that contractor to go in and dig down and go about 6 or 8 inches deep, then come back in with hardened material, pave over that, and then run the asphalt machine over it. So they're in fantastic shape. We've got some places in between the bad spot that we'll have to go back and hit, but 90% of those roads are complete now because we went through that process. But it was really bad. I mean, there was mud pumping up out of the roads. A guy called me one Sunday morning and said that you're not going to believe this, but there's mud actually pumping out of the middle of this asphalt road. And I drive out there, and it was I think it was the first weekend after the thaw, and there had been some heavy truck traffic on that road, and it literally was mounded 6 or 8 inches tall in the middle of the road where it pumped that material up out of there. But Coakley Incorporated gave us a real good hourly rate to help us with it. We did some bids on that. He came in at the low bid, and they helped us get through it. Our paving contractor has 2 sets of equipment, and so when he gets done, like when he got done on Joella, they just moved their crew somewhere else and started working. Then the guy goes back and shuttles that equipment to the next job, kind of a leapfrog operation, so they don't have a down day where they're having to move equipment. Normally you would have a down day or 2 days where you had to pick up all your equipment and move it to the new site. Well, now the next group of equipment can be starting paving the following day or the same day as you finish one job, and then they just have a doodler go back and pick those machines up and move them to the next job. So it's working out well. It's required quite a bit of investment on our contractors' part, but they were willing to do it. They're appreciative of the work, and they do a really good job. You can attest to that because you've seen it out there.
Hey, on any given day, how many roads are on the list to be, repaired, repaved?
So we start out, our contract with the paving contractor starts out May the 1st and runs through April 30th, just because the bidding doesn't go till February. And so that's kind of where it's always been. And so Tony and I sit down. I've got a list that's comprised of people that have called me or roads that I've driven on that seen failure on. So I've got a list, and I give it to Tony, and then Tony puts it together. And we have basically, Tony goes out and measures every road that we put on that list, and we come up with the numbers, and we basically do $10 million worth of road on our list. If it exceeds that, then we can't do it because we know that we're not going to provide the fund. Now, our paving budget this year, not including this road and bridge fund, was $5 million within. So we did another $5 million for 26, where we'll have $5 million from the regular fund, and then we'll have this road and bridge fund, which we knew we were going to have some bridges involved this year, so it takes a little bit from it, probably $5 million road and bridge. But we'll spend about $10 to $11 million on roads, and we've been so blessed. The partnership that we've done with Game and Fish has provided us 50% of like Brady Mountain Road, which would have been a $2 million expense for us. It wound up only being a little over $1 million because we partnered with Game and Fish, and we reached out again this year to see if we can do Crystal Springs Road. And I don't know if we've got that grant yet, but that's our goal, is to try to do a share with them on it. So it's a pretty extensive list. Sometimes one gets left off because, like the storm last year when we were trying to finish up, a couple of the roads that we didn't have on the list got put on the list because they were basically just blowed out from that storm, or the flood was the same way. We had several areas. We're just now, last week, we finished the wing walls on Wildcat Road from the flood of 25. That was the last bridge that we have. And so we'll be able to, hopefully this next week, we'll be able to sit down and put together the finishing touches for our FEMA reimbursement on that stuff. But we try to work all areas of the county. Tony makes a list for 7 north, 7 east, 2 70 east, 70 west, 270 west, 7 south. We try to do some work in every area of the county so that each one of you have something to show your constituents. And obviously the ones that probably get the most attention are in 70 west area because that's where the most people are. We try to do the roads that affect the most people. And I have people call all the time, well, you didn't pave our road, and we've got $1 million homes. And I explain to them, it doesn't make any difference what kind of home you live in. We treat everybody the same, and we try to provide the best road we can for the most people that use it. So that's basically the way Tony puts it together. And he has a very good handle on which roads we've went to the most times to address, how many times we went to potholes. And they also have been able to go out there and look and see that it still has a profile or it does not. If it's still got a profile, it's probably not going to be on the list. But the ones that have flattened out and they've got ruts in them and they're starting to crack and the potholes start appearing, that's the ones that we try to get on the list of the ones that we've done that with. And of course, we initially started out with trying to do our feeder roads, our arterial roads first to make sure that the ones that everybody has to use. People call sometimes and say, well, you didn't do my road. Well, there's 9 people that live on this. I said, well, I told the guy the other day, I said, every road leading to your home is new pavement except the one that's right in front of your home. I think you should be aware of those. Nobody ever called and said thank you for that, but it is something that nobody thinks of until the one right in front of their house is the one they want done. And I'd like to have mine done too, Walnut Valley, but we didn't pave in front of my house, so we did down the road because it literally blew out. But we've got some bridges that are on some of these roads. We're just finishing up a couple of bridges on Mill Creek. There's 2 miles left of it that need to be paved still. We'll be paving that now because we didn't want the truck traffic to tear it up. So we'll be going in and digging out some of those areas and trying to get the rest of it paved. The two-way traffic is back across the low water bridge. The milling has been done at the one at Kelton. So I fully believe by mid-July we'll have both of those back open, striped, and operational. And it will be a godsend for public safety in that area, because if you lived here any length of time, you know that the low water bridge there by the Fat Rabbit Farm went underwater every time it rained hard. And so you can just imagine if you're waiting on an ambulance to come from town and they go all the way down Mill Creek and get there and realize they can't get through, somebody's got to come all the way back around and go around 128. So that's something that we really are proud of, is getting public safety up. And unless RDOT changes it, by the end of this session of bridges that we have let for contract right now, we will not have any more structurally deficient bridges on our list. Some are obviously functionally obsolete, one lane, rail cars, things like that, but they're structurally safe. And so that's something that we are all should be proud of, is the fact that we've made that much headway on our infrastructure. And we've still got I call it the Slaughter Bridge out Spring Street. It's on the Federal Bridge Replacement Program. I talked to Timothy Yu from RDOT in April. He told me that they hope to bid it out next year. It's going to be a realignment of that bridge, and I'm hoping to be able to keep the old bridge and maybe get a grant to fix it up for the Southwest Trail. And then we've also got the one on Wallen Valley that is on the off-grid bridge program. I'm meeting with RDOT on that this Thursday to discuss where it's at in the project. They've already come out and did the core sampling, and I hope they've got the engineering complete on it, because it's a 90-10 split. We only have to pay 10%, and that includes right-of-way and utility movement, and that's very unusual. We were the first ones to draft any money out of that. Right back before Jared Wiley took over as RDOT district manager or state manager, he called me one day and said, "Hey, we've got a pot of money here that's never been used. Do you think you'd have anything that fit?" And if you're familiar with the one by Teen Challenge on Walnut Valley Road, it's been flooded as many times as I am old. And it cuts everybody off from Teen Challenge, and it's a long ways around, and the concrete's starting to deteriorate on it. So it fit the box for the off-grid bridge program, and we were the first ones to get on that list. And so we're pretty excited about that 90-10 split. That's a big deal for us. So hopefully we'll get those bridges done in the next couple of years, and then Bo can start trying to figure out what he wants to work on next. But this program, if you don't have this money, the roads will start to deteriorate again. I mean, it's just, we've only got so much money, and we've got so many roads that, and we haven't paved any dirt roads. We haven't taken on any new roads that we couldn't keep up. You know, it's a lot less expensive to take a motor grader and grade a dirt road than it is to try to go out and fix a paved road or a chip and seal road. So we have purposely not taken on any more hard surface roads until we get to where we can maintain the ones we got. And so that's our plan, and we've been sticking to it very well. You can track every dime that we've got. Absolutely every penny of it has went to paving roads and bridges.
Judge, you mentioned the emergency vehicles. Have you heard any feedback from those companies, or like, the ambulance services, volunteer firefighters and firefighters? Have you heard any feedback from them about our road improvements?
About this program?
Yes, sir.
I think they're all ecstatic about it. You know, we never sit down and talk about it because there's so many other things to talk about with EMS service and radio service and things that everyday stuff that we go through. But I would almost bet you that any firefighter you talk to would be very appreciative of this, because they have to run all these roads and they have to run them fast. And so I think that this is something that they would be 150% behind. I could be wrong, but I would be willing to bet that every fire chief you would talk to would say, absolutely, it's some of the best things that's ever happened to us.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Is it okay for public comment if we have any public comment?
Sure.
About it? All right. Any other questions or discussions about it?
John wants to discuss
Okay.
the ordinance briefly.
Yes, sir.
Peters, Mr. Vice Chair, I would like to make the committee aware. You received a packet with the ordinance as one document. It did two things. What it did was put this on the ballot for public approval and levy a tax if that election was successful. the logistics of that didn't work. Our meeting in November is not until the third week of November. The election is November 3rd. So it wouldn't work out for us to do that in that way. So I'm saying that to say we have broken that ordinance into two ordinances. One of them calls an election. The other one would then levy the tax if the election is successful. It does the same thing, just two documents. So I handed the copies of those out to you earlier tonight. If you have questions, I'll be glad to try and answer. There's some extra copies up here, public, if anybody wants one. But all it does is take your one ordinance and break it into two ordinances.
And we're only going to look at the one tonight.
We only need to, the only one you're under consideration tonight is to put it on the ballot. The other one is just included, so you're aware of the whole situation.
And it's general election ballot that we're putting it on, and no special election. It'll be general election ballot that we'll put it on, and we'll hopefully the documentation we have and the evidence-based data we can share will be enough to convince the public that it's a great value for their money.
Any other questions or discussions about the ordinance we're considering? Yes.
Okay, on it, it says, whereas the levy of the tax set forth of 02136 will expire on June 30th, 2027. So would the tax expire at that point in time, or is that just a time?
That is the ordinance that is established the tax we're working under right now.
Okay,
And so that one expires. This one would then pick up at the end of that.
at the end of that
It
one,
would run through June 30th of 2032.
2030.
That's set out in the ordinance.
Okay,
But tonight, all you'll be considering is to get it on the general election ballot. If it's successful, then our meetings the fourth Monday in November every year, because we do the millage. And so that's when we would look at the other to levy the tax if it's approved by the voters. And if it's not approved by the voters, then we're going to look at each other with long faces and figure out what Bo's going to do. That's all I got. If anybody's got any questions, I'll be glad to answer them. Or if you need some documentation, we'll get them for you.
So is this the first ordinance that we're doing in 26? Because I didn't see another number besides a zero.
No, we've done several ordinances in 26.
Yet to be
It
titled.
just doesn't have.
He's just going to have a number installed. It'll be the next number in succession. When you get to Quorum Court.
Yeah, it'll go to the quorum court from here. Actually, we go to ordinance from here, and then it'll go to quorum court from there, and they'll get the number there.
I had just one more question. Do we have to get signatures for this, or will us after this would it automatically go to the ballot? How's that work?
If it goes to the quorum court and it's passed in the quorum court, then it goes straight to the ballot.
All right. If we don't have any more discussion, all those in favor say aye. 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 All right. I believe we don't have anything else on the docket, so we are adjourned.
Thank you, Vice Chairman Peters.